I was reading a comment today from one of my audience members, and they pointed out something to me about when Xbox initially started signaling its intentions to move its gaming from console exclusivity to adding PC to it. Shout out to Sandman45981. You pointed me to this reality, and I think this is not just going to be kryptonite to the so-called nonsense fanboy attitude that we're seeing, but red kryptonite as well to also go ahead and absolutely obliterate. I mean, it's even a compliment that I'm even calling, the facts kryptonite, because that would mean that they probably had some super blah, 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 and then the facts are the bad guy or whatever, but that's how they perceive the facts. So I guess I can put it that way. I say this because there's a back and forth going on Twitter where I'm asking this PlayStation fanboy some really important questions. I'm trying to take the console war out of them so that they can actually, for a second, engage in the conversation. It takes a while. You can do it, though, but it takes a lot of time. You have to kind of do it on the side when you're doing something important and you take a break and you respond with a question and so on and so forth. And this person is of the mind that somewhere, somehow, games going from Xbox to PlayStation is this crazy thing, whereas PlayStation games going to PC is not really that big of a deal. They're okay with it and blah, blah, blah. And the biggest thing that took the wind out of their sails was the fact that I told them that as a PC gamer, I've been getting these Xbox games on PC available to me since day one, since 2018. I've always been of the mind that this was something that Xbox started doing in 2016, but Sandman basically pointed out and said, you can go back to 2015 when Phil Spencer announced their games would be released on PC and Xbox consoles on the same day. Very interesting. This now puts a little bit of context into the Crap Gamer thing, because I think when you look at Crap Gamer's comments that Phil Spencer replied to on Twitter back in 2016, he was basically saying that the announcement for Quantum Break for PC was done late. So basically, he was like, well, you didn't say anything about it until close to the release and close to launch. Now that the launch is getting close, you're saying it. So the Crap Gamer said he was going to cancel his pre-order. That is a historical moment in fanboy history, if anybody doesn't know. So I went to ChatGPT on Sandman's comment. I said, you know what? I asked Sandman, is there a place you can find this? But I'm sure Sandman, you got your hands tied. So I say, you know what? Why even bother? We can have something crawl through the internet and find it. And apparently there are early announcements to this effect with sources that are actually here to, go ahead and provide some context to this. So as far back as January 22nd, 2015, this was something that was actually being put into perspective. You got to look at the information that was available at the time. Phil Spencer unveils a new experience for Xbox One and Windows 10 gamers. This was when they launched the Windows app. They wouldn't launch Game Pass for a while, but this was a very interesting paradigm at the end of the day. So this app that, you get access to and all this stuff, you can get access to Game Pass and blah, blah, blah. This app really does put things in perspective. And believe you me, ladies and gentlemen, it's a very interesting reality and interesting paradigm. So back in January of 2015, let's go ahead and look, 10 years ago, millions of people use Windows every day, and they spend countless hours playing all kinds of games, from WoW to League of Legends. Oh, isn't that poetic? To Minecraft, which they owned at the time, I think, and Minesweeper. When did they acquire Minecraft? Hold on. When did MS acquire Minecraft? 2014. Okay, so they had acquired Minecraft at that time. But it's quite poetic, though, that they said World of Warcraft and League of Legends. Interesting. And Minesweeper on a variety of devices, whether they are PCs, laptops, or tablets. Gaming with Xbox has always been inherently personal and social. Your games, your friends, blah, blah, blah. Now, this morning at Windows 10 Media Briefing, Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, and Microsoft shared the company's vision for gaming on Windows and Xbox One. With Xbox on Windows 10, we're bringing some of the most exciting features from Xbox Live and some of the most popular Xbox experiences to Windows 10 itself. The built-in Xbox app is a place where your world of gaming comes together. This was a very smart move. I wish they had taken it to the full where the series consoles launched with the Windows capability, that was where they basically shot themselves and it grazed their foot. That's what I would say. However, this strategy basically helped them out big time. A lot of people don't give this strategy a lot of credit. I do, because I see it here. And then they're talking about it's a unified view of the games you care about, your friends, and all that stuff. And with Xbox Live, more than 50 million members will now connect across screens in new ways. One of the coolest things that I actually got to do this particular, season, I think it was a few months ago, I got to play Gotham Knights with a buddy of the channel, good longtime supporter of the channel, Shad Father, and he said, "VJ, we gotta play Gotham Knights." He put it on. He's like, "Dude, get in here, let's play Gotham Knights." I was like, "Yeah, we gotta run a few, games of Heroic Assault," and we put it on the calendar. Like, I was like, "Man, I'm putting this thing on the calendar," and he played from his Xbox console while I just played from PC, because I think I may have uninstalled it from my Xbox. And we were able to run a few games together. We were able to play for about an hour and a half or something. It's very hard to basically schedule time, especially for dads, man. It's insane. Like, if it's not part of like your daily routine, it's hard to break out of that, the daily routine of life and all of that stuff. And that unified aspect of the whole thing made sense because I owned the game here, right? Which gives cross entitlements because Warner Brothers, for some strange reason, I don't know why, they woke up in the morning and said, "Oh yeah, we're going to let this game have cross entitlements." I guess I don't know what that meant. Over the last 13 years, according to this article, Xbox has been focused on creating and expanding great gaming and entertainment experiences on console. We're incredibly proud of the Xbox One, fully committed to ensuring it's the best place to play console games in 2015 and beyond, said Spencer. Now, we're also bringing that same focus, passion, and commitment to gaming on Windows 10, enhancing the PC games and gaming devices you already love, including the Xbox One. This guy has always been looking for this unified system for a while. I am actually quite surprised. I thought this was a new phenomenon. I didn't know that this guy wanted to cook this gaming industry into what he envisioned it to look like. A very interesting Sandman. What have you done? You have unearthed, and I'm sure you Xbox fans probably maybe knew this and just overlooked it. I didn't know this. I told you all I'm new here. You guys have got to be pointing this stuff out to me. I mean, literally, really, guys? I've done over 1,000 videos talking about Xbox's business model. I'm just finding out today that this whole thing has been a deliberate plan all this while for them to basically move and unify this stuff together. Now, we've listened and learned from our past efforts in PC gaming, and I'm excited about what the future holds. Let's take a closer look at what this means for gamers. Here are some highlights of the news announced today at the Windows 10 media briefing. So, Xbox Live multiplayer, streaming DX12, game DVR, Fable Legends, and all of the above. This shows that once you miss an opportunity in gaming, it's hard to recover, but you can, but it'll take a while. Xbox has taken this long to get to the point where they can say that their Game Pass subscribers have increased on the PC platform 30%. There's a lot of distrust to these console platform holders from PC. There's always been. And so knowing that history, Phil Spencer was like, we need to correct that and build a relationship based on where these gamers can trust us. It's not going to be overnight. There's still gamers who are not bothered playing or buying their games on Xbox. They'll still play the game on Game Pass and then convert the save files to Steam. And then when the game's on sale, they'll go back to Steam and then continue playing the game or whatever it is. Now, some PC gamers are now getting more and more open to buying their games on the Xbox app, but it's not common. Does that make sense? It's not as common as I would think it should be. So they still have a lot of work to do, but it's interesting to see that they've always wanted a unified ecosystem for the longest time with PC. Now, here's what's funny, guys. Why did y'all just not do it in the Series X and S generation? That would have really changed the game, because it was around that time PlayStation was making its way into the PC ecosystem. You would have, in some way, checkmated them and locked them away from PC because you have access to it, or basically water down their exclusivity framework that they use to basically hound y'all in this, particular generation. If it wasn't for the Activision Blizzard Play and the Bethesda Play, their exclusivity paradigms would have really, really worked heavily. And so this is a very interesting set of events that have always been in the work, and Xbox has been laying the groundwork and the foundation. And a lot of people right now are basically just dancing around some old console war that this guy had basically been trying to get out of for a good amount of time. Now, here's a data-driven aspect that I want to propose that could have been a huge, and let me put it this way, that could have been a huge signal for them. The data for the Xbox One console sales was probably putting Phil Spencer in a position where he had to start thinking outside of the box. You see, this console launched very weird. Imagine if you're taking over and you look at your first 18 months of sales and you look at the other party and say, what does their first 18 months of sales look like? And you say to yourself, bruh, we can't do this based on the console. We got to employ some big muscle. So they decided that they were going to employ this amount of muscle to get in there. Not only did they stop there, they then moved to Steam as it seemed like the situation was getting dire. That's how you know somebody that is a gamer and can do business. This is why Xbox is dominating the market right now, because as they move that whole strategy to PlayStation, it's a takeover. It doesn't matter what all these so-called console fanboys may try to say. It is a takeover. And Xbox wants to take over the console market. They're going to do it one way or the other. You guys are just, all of you think is only by console sales. You got to remember that, FTC has finally left them alone. You got to understand what's coming next. Don't be shocked. Thanks for watching. Peace out.